Here we go. This is a federal forest plan meeting. I might be too late, but we're gonna go in and take a look around, see who's in here. Hey, what's happening? Good. How are you?
Going for a rescue, and I'll be right back.
Oh yeah. Is it what is it, intermission or is it over?
No, just kind of a.
So we're breaking into small groups right now.
Oh, okay.
To get people's questions about how to comment or anything you don't, if you've looked at it and you don't understand something, want clarification.
Okay.
That's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. I just missed the first part, so I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't sure if I was too late.
So you're welcome to join us for this.
I might just observe if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
All
if
right.
you would like to get some information, you can sign in
Great.
here and
All right.
get on
Free
the
stickers.
list. Free stickers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Are you, you're doing the wildlife table? Let's see. You're welcome to sign in if you want to be on the mailing list.
Okay.
Are you from West Yellowstone?
I am.
Okay. Hi,
Yep.
I'm Mary Erks. I'm the forest supervisor out of Bozeman.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Good.
Have you been to forest plan meetings before?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah, no
This is my
worries.
first one.
Yeah,
so
actually great.
I was late. I was still working, so.
Yeah, no worries. We just went through the pitch of where we're at in the process. We've been in this, forests have to produce plans, and the law was supposed to be every 10 or 15 years, but they really we've lived with the existing plans for 30 years.
Yep.
So it's a big deal to us, but it's really a zoning type plan, not a project plan, not specific. And we're like into year 3. We're putting out a draft EIS with alternatives, and our big pitch is this is the last public comment time before we move to a decision.
Okay.
On the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of understood the premise, or the procedure.
Basics,
I just want to, I was going to get some details and stuff of what they're.
There are alternative maps in the room
Oh,
there,
okay.
if you want to take a look at them.
Sure.
They're online, but they're kind of nice to see in the big format too.
Okay.
And we're just at that. There's 5 alternatives,
Good.
and we didn't show a preferred.
Okay.
Just to keep it kind of open-ended at this point.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, is that for me?
Yeah, so that's a quick and dirty alternative key, and then this is a reviewer's guide to commenting, and then
Okay. Sounds
you
good.
want a summary or the full draft plan.
All right.
Is that-
Yeah, I will take it.
Yeah?
Thank you
want
very
a draft
much.
plan too, or
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Get some good reading.
did you get a chance to sign in? Or?
I didn't get a chance. I'm not going to sign in, but I'll just. If it's okay, I'll just observe.
Absolutely, yeah, that's fine.
So right now they're having discussions in here about recreation and
Okay.
designated areas, and then out here more about wildlife and ecological
Okay.
and aquatics. So wherever you want to be.
Thank you very much. All right. We got a record.
Day, so if a question comes in, you can send it to one specialist, and then we'll get back to you. So don't feel that if we have to, be fully prepared tonight to ask a question that might come up later as you're doing some reading. So Virginia went over the alternatives, and most people can see that we're contrasting certain topics. Besides the commenting on these alternatives, also be clear to remember that we have 2 separate documents. We have the forest plan, and that plan talks about what are standards and guidelines that we're going to manage the area with. The DEIS is saying where those areas are going to be managed. So if you think about it, there's 2 volumes. In the future, we're going to be managing wildlife, or we're going to manage recommended wilderness area, or we'll be managing for certain timber characteristics. That is in the plan. It's a different chapter. Go to the other link, and that is this draft environmental impact statement saying what are the consequences of us managing in that way on X number of acres. almost so overwhelming, for me anyway. I would need to know what person that.
So, I got a couple. When it talk in any recommended wilderness area, which would have to be, I guess, alternative, well, specifically Lionhead, perhaps Cabin Creek North and South, although you need to look at the map.
Sorry, guys.
to know that.
Just getting some
Anyway,
footage for later.
Meaning that wilderness recommendations are made for the Lionhead area under 4 alternatives, correct? And the 5th is the backcountry area. So the question is, that borders the Targhee National Forest. So how does that get coordinated? Is it now coordinated? Is it yet to be coordinated? And if it's yet to be coordinated, how will that happen? Or is this completely independent of anything that Targhee would do?
Sure, go ahead. So we do know that in the charging plan, it's recommended wilderness, the southern border, just south of Ryan and March, but they are allowing mountain hiking, like on corridors. So we are looking at different ways.
So, excuse me, they have a new forest plan?
There are 97 or whatever forest plan is one they do. So yeah, we did look, and we looking at the maps, actually all the way around on the Targhee and the European Lodge on Shoshone, we're looking at those plans. And sometimes the land allocations, oh yeah, recommended wilderness.
So what would you say the big differences are between recommended wilderness and the backcountry areas? The backcountry areas usually is new thing that's come out because of all the pressure of not wanting more wilderness. Is that a good tool?
I'll take that one. So backcountry area is a term that you're seeing for the first time in this forest plan revision. When you go in and read about it, you'll see what actually is occurring is for the Custer plan 30 years ago, the Ashland Ranger District had a concept that they called a low development area. We read that, that's been the management out of those 3 parcels for 30 years. And we thought, that has some usefulness to what we're hearing, comment-wise, in other places now that we're doing a combined plan. We changed the name to a backcountry area, and we vary it by alternative. But the big thing with the backcountry area is you actually have to go read the write-up on each one, because in some, there's a motorized trails. In others, there's not motorized trails. They're customized for that piece of geography. But the big thing that they are similar is the idea is that these are basically a status quo type of situation, where there's not currently a lot of development there. Occasionally there's a low standard road, or there might be a motorized use. But typically these are lightly or not developed areas. They are, however, you need to go and read the description for the one in the priors, and it might have different nuances than the ones over, in the crazies.
They are more flexible, more active management, so it would allow timber harvest for
Backcountry areas do allow
For restoration.
For restoration of wildlife habitat or timber production, not for timber production, timber harvest for resource
So then,
enhancement. Yes.
Thinning. So you might be managing, RUI, urban interface, if a backcountry area was coming down to that. You had more flexibility in that example, disease treatment, any of those types of things. And however, we're not saying this is the area the forest is going to focus on for major changes, major developments over this next planning period. These are areas that we're not seeing that type of activity being proposed. The other difference is that we are not recommending to Congress that they go any further and take an additional step to make those wilderness. That's the difference with a recommended wilderness area. Right now, you're seeing alternatives where we have recommended wilderness is really mixed and matched. Tons of varieties across these alternatives and the number of acres. Ultimately, when we have a proposed, or we have a final decision, our step then is to go to Congress and say the Forest Service has found wilderness characteristics and we are recommending they can take action or not. So you have to realize that in the last 3 years, we've had areas recommended to wilderness or to Congress, and they haven't acted on it. This is a required step in forest planning. Like I say, there's 155 national forests in the country. Every single time they do a plan revision, this step is required to look and see if there's any recommended wilderness to send to Congress. Same thing with water and scenic river. So that's why you'll see it discussed pretty extensively here. And that's a real distinction though with backcountry areas. The Forest Service will not be ultimately, if a backcountry area is designated, that's the way we're proposing to manage it during the lifetime of the forest plan.
Right, not asking Congress for anything for that. Okay.
And you will see, if you look, the geography of those areas sometimes is alternating in these alternatives. Sometimes an alternative has it as backcountry, another time it has it as recommended wilderness.
Or neither.
Or neither.
So, in this draft, there are 5 alternatives, correct? And for Lionhead, 4 out of the 5 alternatives recommended for wilderness. There's some boundary adjustments, but 4 out of 5. Do we read anything into that? In other words, is the forest leaning more to, hey, it looks like wilderness is the best choice, 4 out of 5?
You know, the alternatives were designed around comments that we had. And so we clearly had comments really interested in designation, and we clearly had comments saying some of this area they did not think was at all suitable or best to be put into wilderness. And those boundary changes become important when you look at how we're addressing what we heard back from people.
In the backcountry area, so people were saying, not wilderness, but backcountry area. So people were still wanting some kind of protected category, just not wilderness.
So let me ask my question again.
Yeah, you're trying to get us to...
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 out of 5.
So we have no action. So in the Gallatin plan, it's ready to go. Then you have a proposed action. And then we just had to do 3 alternatives. Just because we got so much comment about Lionhead is one reason we have 3 more alternatives. Wow, we got all these permutations we're trying to get in there.
So what I think our answer is we were trying to cover in some alternatives the nuances that people wanted Lionhead treated. And that's why, including nothing, which is alternative E.
And remember, 2 of those alternatives are recommended wilderness still allow mountain biking.
They're what?
Still mountain biking. So there's mountain biking in no action right now. There's mountain biking in alternative B. Alternative C, who actually, most of the mountain biking.
Wait a minute, I don't understand that.
In recommended wilderness.
Recommended wilderness.
It's what?
In the recommended wilderness, in that status, the current situation allows mountain biking.
Sure.
Alternative B also would allow that to continue. In recommended wilderness. Alternative C, they avoid most of that trail and take the boundaries away. And it is not in recommended
Which
wilderness.
is that gap? That's
Yes.
the gap.
That's the gap. And that actually, C is largely patterned after Gallatin forest, no, for that.
Yeah, not for mine.
Not for Lionhead. But anyway, there's themes that we're trying to cover.
So in alternative D, recommended wilderness allows, does not allow mountain biking to continue, and then E is a backcountry area that allows it. We got so much comment on that mountain biking issue that we have, more permutations are us.
Yeah.
So your answer to my question is, no. There is, you're not,
Don't use
you're
that.
addressing,
We're not
you're addressing
revealing
things
it
that were
now.
brought up.
We're
But-
addressing, right.
Claude, you don't need to worry too much about that in terms of,
I can't take that next conclusion for you because I'm not Mary
well, I'm
Erickson.
not sure I can for myself either, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, help me understand, there is really no universal definition of backcountry.
Correct, we have come up
Are
with a
there
definition.
common characteristics?
Yes.
It's not a congressional.
Right. Yes, so the way that you would look at that in our plan, we have forest-wide direction. And what that means for backcountry is all of these backcountry areas that have similarities are described forest-wide. Then when there's distinctive changes, you'll go and read about it in the geographic area that has different backcountry areas.
Line
talked
down.
about.
As
Right,
backcountry,
so there'll be a
as
nuance
example.
to that, or the prior to backcountry area will maybe have some distinctive standard or guidelines about how it would be managed. Unlike, so there's an overlay that is similar, and then there's some distinctions.
I've been on my knees all day. I got to stand up. So, yeah,
But it sounds, yeah, a little bit more like
Right.
there's
it's an orthopedic
an element
thing.
of that in the animal in that. Not, maybe not quite the same, but at least a consideration.
So there is a lot of interest in learning about this, so I would say that your questions are common to what we heard last night, that people really, so explain this to me more. So I would say we're going to expect to have people focus and work on that. And again, the hint by attending this meeting is don't only look at the forest wide, continue further and read about particular geographic areas when it comes to backcountry, because you're going to learn the full explanation by looking at both parts.
And also in our EIS chapter, once our campus, we all there's some things that we're doing.
So, for instance, much of the backcountry area is also inventory roadless area, which comes with management direction and constraints that will be not changing in any alternative. So, for folks to read about that and realize that that's kind of the default for those lands, no matter what we're putting on top of them. So, if you're interested in what inventory roadless area means, read that chapter and then maybe read it first, because that's the default for. That will always be true. We will always be managing to that because our assumption for this plan is that it doesn't change. It's been in effect, and we're not being directed to tinker with it during forest planning or authorized to tinker with it.
So what's an example of a backcountry area potentially in the plan that's not line set? What would be another one?
That would
Crazy mountains. Places in crazy mountains, rare mountains.
Yeah, see, we don't care about any.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares about that?
The maps,
Yeah.
we don't care.
It's the wilderness study area. Yeah. So it's over there in alternative, the big yellow.
How much more restrictive is if you put that in wilderness versus backcountry?
Very, very different in that a designated wilderness, not the recommended wildernesses, but one's designated. First of all, we have two already, and you know them. They're the absorbed Khmer tooth and the lean net cap. Congress drew those boundary lines. There's national direction about how you manage wilderness. It is the most protective of any of the designations the Forest Service manages, meaning, and there's congressional direction. Our forest plan doesn't alter those boundaries at all. They're there. A higher authority has already designated those. Our recommended wilderness areas, we do have some ability at this level to propose some management, and basically it's that distinction about allowing a current motorized or mechanized use to continue or not. That can be done at this section, at this level.
As long as it remains
As long as you keep,
recommended.
if it is recommended, this plan will make that decision about those current uses. Now, a backcountry area, as I said earlier, we're really not proposing any other additional restricting steps to those. We're saying for this forest plan, here's how and again, if you read about it, it's kind of a status quo situation. There's another designation that we came up with for this forest plan that you're not going to see mentioned other places, and it's a recreation emphasis area. So a recreation emphasis area is, these are the current situation. These are acknowledged. Any ranger station you walk into, they're going to say, here's our high-use rec area. Here's the really special features. Here's where you open the guidebook and it sends you to them.
Hebden Lake is one of those.
Hebden Lake, You want to leave them in?
Right here, right around the wall.
Yeah, so, and then, the West Yellowstone, winter ski trails. Rendezvous. The other, examples, if you, highlight out of Bozeman area, major backyard, Boulder Creek, those are areas that what we're telling future forest managers is, we're not saying don't do any other kind of project ever there. We're saying, listen, if somebody's proposing an activity, realize right up front, design that activity around and accommodate that intense recreation use or the important feature that the recreation users have. For instance, a cell phone tower next to the M above Bozeman. You know, that's a pretty iconic spot. Suppose somebody proposed something like that, we would tell the forest, you better realize that that is one of the most intensely visited and iconic picturesque overlooks for Bozeman. Take that into consideration when you're evaluating these other projects. And that's really what the rec emphasis areas are saying is, we are acknowledging that the reality is of all the uses that the National Forest pose, in this particular area, recreation is very vital. And they do change because they're all different characteristics. Some are year-round, some from the winter time that it's offered. But this was something that we did in this forest plan that you don't see in earlier plans. So again, you do read on those.
Sorry, just have just a couple more seconds. We're grabbing the groups. If you have any last minute questions before we reconvene, make sure you get them now.
Okay. And if folks do have a question that we're not getting close to, write it down on these cards because we're going to try and be responsive, especially if you have a question about something these tables are talking about. In recreation emphasis areas, I have to look at my cheat sheet.
Those areas are key areas. There's some reduction of limitations in those recreation emphasis areas as far as like kilometer or trail density requirements or things like that. Those restrictions lifted or is that?
No, it's really more about the number of acres and what we have featured as a rec emphasis areas. There's no change in the actual management of one of those areas.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, so did you read something?
We've been sort of discussing this with being able to designate the surrounding trails as a recreation emphasis area. The attempt that would lift some of the restrictions regarding lynx, grizzly bear habitat.
Yeah, they would have to close this.
I don't think it's all right in there.
And we can turn on extra lights. Have multiple
Pardon me, sorry.
All right, quick question. If this is online, and all three of them,
Management of domestic goats. So you could probably cover that. Yep. And then, I mean, this one, where's the wild sheep foundation influence a possible decision? Now, so the sheep foundation is not there. They might get it, yeah. It's probably still going to be evaluation of public comment and the science, the evaluation of science. Yeah.
Do you want to cover that one?
I can cover this one.
One each? We're good?
All right, so you guys get some questions answered? Is that helpful? Can we sit down and talk? Okay. Well, I just want to draw your attention real quick. If you still have questions that didn't get answered, or you want to make sure that they get in the pile that might be part of the FAQ, make sure to write it down on a card and hand it to one of us. If you have questions about these topics, these are all podcast website. So go ahead and take some time. There's 10 to 15 minutes or so, is that right? So pretty short, but you have some really great information in there. So make sure you grab those if you want.
That's good. That might be a little too much.
Too much or too little?
Look at cozy. So is everybody clear on how to comment? Because that's really tonight was really about making sure you have the information and know where to find it and how to read the documents, but also to make sure that you know how to submit your comments so that they're part of the collective comment group when they go to review. Everybody clear? You can take, there might be a quiz at the end, you don't know. If you want, you can take a picture of this. If you're good with it, that's great too. Is there something I was missing before we get to the questions? Okay, so Mary has a couple questions that she's going to review real quick, and then we'll open it up for a few minutes and see if anybody else has any remaining questions. And that'll be it. Great.
Oh, okay. Well, so again, we just wanted to take a few minutes at the end to answer general questions that would be helpful for the group. And we actually had two, mostly around goats. So, Bev, you get it up front. So as we're working on the plan, particularly looking at concerns around bighorn sheep, we've also been looking at the signs around sheep and goats and pack goats. And so we have some language in the plan that ranges across alternatives about that. So maybe I'll let you touch on that, and then there's a question about the role of Wild Sheep Foundation.
Okay. Yeah, so the plan alternatives, and I assume everybody understands the context of this, that wild bighorn sheep are very susceptible to disease that can be transmitted from domestic animals, particularly domestic sheep and goats. So in the plan, it ranges from everything from no permits issued for any reason, not for meat or wool production, not for outfitter use for pack animals, not for weed control. We would have no domestic sheep or goats allowed under permit on the forest. For the individual users that enjoy packing with goats or maybe sheep, that question came up, I'm not aware of any, and neither are goat packing experts. But if they were to wish to do that, under one alternative, we would say it is not suitable. It is not suitable use, and that is how we, and then we would have to implement closures through another mechanism. So it ranges the whole gamut, and under the alternatives where sheep or goat permits could be issued, there would be some risk analysis done before we would issue those permits, but they would be allowed. And again, it ranges geographically where they may be allowed by alternative.
So then if they were looking for that in documents to take a look at the wording, where would you go?
That's a good question, and it can be confusing because the general public who are advocating either wanting to use these animals recreationally or have concerns for transmission to wild animals are generally going to look under recreation or wildlife for those plan components, and guess what? They're not there. Our plan is our guiding document, so we put it in the area that could most likely be restricted. There is some language, I believe, in recreation for the outfitter restrictions, but most of that language you'll find in the grazing section, the permitted grazing section. That's a great question.
And there's always the hint of research in these documents where, type in the word goat and it will jump around in the document and take you to the part that has that word.
So the second question, which was also on the goat theme, but was what role does the Wild Sheep Foundation play in influencing the possible decision to restrict or prohibit pack goat use? And at this point, we haven't had any dialogue with the Wild Sheep Foundation. I suspect that they would